Have you ever walked into a store for just one thing and walked out with five? Or found yourself clicking confirm purchase on something you hadn't even considered buying 10 minutes earlier? Welcome to the channel. Today we're diving into something that affects all of us, the psychology of impulse buying. Those unplanned purchases that somehow find their way into our shopping carts and drain our bank accounts. But before we analyze the science, I want to tell you about Sarah. Sarah is a project manager with a decent salary. She considers herself financially responsible. She pays her bills on time and contributes to her 401k. But at the end of each month, she's always surprised by how little money remains in her checking account. One Thursday morning, Sarah's coffee maker broke. No problem, she needed to buy a new one. She headed to the department store on her lunch break. What happened next is something we can all relate to. Sarah found a reasonably priced coffee maker within minutes. But as she made her way to the checkout, she passed through the kitchen gadget section. A gleaming air fryer caught her eye. It was on sale, 30% off, today only. Sarah had been thinking about eating healthier. Everyone at work raved about their air fryers. And this deal was too good to pass up. Before she knew it, the air fryer was in her cart alongside the coffee maker. Sarah just experienced the classic impulse buy. She went in for a coffee maker and left with something entirely unplanned. But why? What happened in Sarah's brain during those few minutes that convinced her to spend an extra $129.99? Let's break down the psychology. The science of impulse buying. The human brain has two systems that influence our purchasing decisions. System 1 is fast, automatic, and emotional. System 2 is slower, more deliberate, and rational. When we make an impulse purchase, System 1 has typically hijacked the decision-making process before System 2 can intervene. Sarah's impulse buy was triggered by several psychological mechanisms. 1. The scarcity principle. That today-only sale created a sense of urgency. Research shows that perceived scarcity significantly increases desire. When we think something might not be available later, we value it more highly in the moment. 2. Social proof. Sarah remembered her coworkers praising their air fryers. This is social proof. We take cues from others about what's valuable or desirable. If everyone else loves it, maybe we will too. 3. Retail therapy shopping provides a dopamine hit, a small burst of pleasure chemicals in our brain. Studies show that this effect is particularly strong when we're tired, stressed, or hungry. Sarah had been rushing all morning and skipped breakfast, the perfect mental state for an impulse buy. These psychological triggers don't just happen by accident. Retailers have been studying the science of impulse buying for decades. They design store layouts, websites, and apps specifically to bypass your System 2 thinking. Let's see what happened to Sarah next. Sarah's story. Part 2. When Sarah got home that evening, she was excited about her purchases. The coffee maker solved her immediate problem, and she couldn't wait to try the air fryer. But 2 weeks later, the initial excitement had worn off. Sarah used the air fryer twice, but it was bulky and took up precious counter space in her small kitchen. The cleaning process was more tedious than expected. When her credit card statement arrived, seeing that extra $129.99 made her wince. The momentary pleasure of the purchase had faded, but the financial impact remained. Sarah's experience illustrates what researchers call buyer's remorse. The emotional high of an impulse purchase is temporary, but the financial consequences last much longer. The financial impact. Let's talk about the numbers. According to a 2023 survey, the average American spends approximately $314 per month on impulse purchases. That's over $3,700 per year. But the true cost is even higher when we consider what economists call opportunity cost, what that money could have done if it had been saved or invested instead. If Sarah had invested that $129.99 instead of buying the air fryer, and continued to invest the average amount spent on impulse purchases each month, in 30 years at a 7% average annual return, she would have accumulated over $450,000. I'm not saying you should never treat yourself, but understanding the psychology behind impulse purchases can help you make more conscious choices about when those treats are truly worth it.